Okay, in this video we're going to look at solving for the 6 trigonomic functions using Pythagorean theorem. So the first thing is that they give me 2 pieces of information, and the importance part of this is to help me determine what neighborhood my function is going to lie in so that I can determine if each of the trig functions are either positive or negative. So the first thing I want to do is make my chart. All students take cash. Okay, so cosine happens to be positive. So cosine is positive all and cosine. All, sine, tangent, cosine. Sine is less than 0, which means that sine is negative. So sine is positive here and here, which means it's negative here and here. Where the 2 overlap is the quadrant I'm in. So I happen to be in quadrant 4. So I'm going to build my triangle in quadrant 4. So it would look like this. There's theta. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So I'm going to label my adjacent is going to be 4. My hypotenuse is 5. Now here you can either use Pythagorean theorem, or if you've memorized that 3, 4, 5 is one of the special ones, you can just go ahead and label this 3. Let me show you. C is the only one that matters. A and B can reverse. C is always across from the right angle. A and B meet at the corner, C you across the street. So 5 squared equals 4 squared plus b squared. 25 equals 16 plus b squared. 9 equals b squared. Therefore, b equals 3. And what I did and I didn't show was I subtracted 16 to get the 9. Okay, so this side is 3. Now I can quickly do all the other trig functions. So I'm going to start with sine. Scroll down a little bit. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so the opposite is 3. The hypotenuse is 5. 3 over 5. And it is going to be negative. To make life easier, I'm going to do its counterpart. So cosecant is equal to 5 over 3. It is also negative. Cosine, they already told me, was 4 over 5. Therefore, secant is 5 over 4, and they are positive. Let me erase and make some room. And then that leaves me with tangent, which is opposite over adjacent, so 3 over 4. It is negative because the only one that's positive in quadrant 4 is cosine. And then we have cotangent, which is negative 4 over 3. Okay, let's look at another one. All right, I have that sine is negative 2 over 3, and tangent is less than 0, which means both pieces are negative. So all students take cash. Now, sine is negative. Here and here, sine is positive. For it to be negative, it would be in the quadrant 3 or 4. Tangent is less than 0. So that means it's negative. So when it's negative, it's one of these 2 quadrants. The 2 overlap again in quadrant 4. Okay, so that's where I'm going to build my triangle. Okay, C is always across from the right angle. A and B meet at the corner. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, and we don't use the negative. The negative is simply for direction. What we do is we go ahead and we label opposite is going to be 2, and the hypotenuse is going to be 3. So I have 3 squared equals 2 squared plus b squared. 9 equals 4 plus b squared. 5 equals b squared. So b is going to be the square root of 5, and we can just leave it as the square root of 5. Okay, so now all 3 sides are labeled, and I can do my basic trig. So starting with sine, sine was negative 2 over 3. So cosecant is negative 3 over 2. Cosine is adjacent, which was the square root of 5, over the hypotenuse, which is 3. Now I need to look. I'm in quadrant 4. Cosine is positive, so I'm going to leave that alone. Secant is going to be the reciprocal, so 3 over the square root of 5, and you don't need to rationalize your denominators. Okay? And then we have tangent, which is opposite over adjacent. So that's going to be 2 over the square root of 5. In quadrant 4, it is negative. And cotangent is going to be negative the square root of 5 over 2. So the first thing to do is figure out which quadrant it is in, or you can make your right triangle and find the missing side, okay? You simply need to figure out which quadrant so that you know whether these are positive or negative. I hope this helps.